Regarding the recent shooting in Laguna Hills in Irvine, turns out that the heroic doctor that was killed was close to some people that I know that went on the China Youth Corps study tour back in the 90s. And so while I didn't know him, the incident, the tragedy has been, a downcast for me. It wasn't just something that was in the news. It was like apparently this guy was someone that a lot of people knew. So I'm a little concerned about how this is being portrayed in the media, because there's a few things that are going on. First of all, it was initially reported that the guy, the perpetrator, the shooter, was someone from China. He was immediately cast as a mainlander. In the year 2022, a mainlander means someone from mainland China, like People's Republic of China. And now that we know who this guy is, he's from Taiwan. He's born and raised in Taiwan, born 1953. What's happening is that the Taiwan media, or just the media in general, doesn't really want to say that this guy's from Taiwan. I think that this is kind of not really appropriate, because it's it should be a straightforward news story. Someone from Taiwan that immigrated to the United States did this. You can call him a Taiwan mainlander if you like, since he's from that group. We have many different groups in Taiwan. But to try to make it seem like the guy is not from Taiwan and that he's from mainland China and that this has something to do with cross-strait relations today is very, very, most likely very inaccurate. I've looked into the shooter's background and his possible motivations and such, and you could say that he did this because his life was on a downward spiral. It's being reported that he is unhappy with the fact that Taiwan isn't controlled by China or something like that, but that's probably not the case. This guy, given his age, falls into the category of the early mainlander group that was born in Taiwan in the 1950s. And I know a lot of people around that age, and a lot of people are very disenchanted with the current situation in Taiwan, what's been going on for the last several years. And many of them are kind of becoming more and more open to the Chinese Communist Party, and are becoming more and more red, as I guess you could say. But at the base of it all, they are ROC citizens, the Republic of China, and they're Pan-Blue supporters, or they used to be Pan-Blue supporters. But because of what's been happening the last several years, and with the KMT party becoming basically insignificant and not doing its job anymore, people are just getting really frustrated and kind of could easily be painted as red or pro-Chinese Communist Party. But the truth is that these people are basically Pan-Blue supporters. They're KMT supporters, and they're just, they don't know what to do, so they're just looking towards the mainland. So I would call this incident a dissatisfied, upset Pan-Blue mainlander committing this atrocity against random people at a church, okay? I don't think it's appropriate or truthful to associate this with the Chinese Communist Party or mainland China in any way. Even though the guy attended these organizations like Chinese for Peaceful Unification, it's kind of a far cry to try to associate what happened with these kinds of organizations. And I've noticed that the Taiwan media is trying to do that. They're trying to say, oh, see, look, this guy's a part of these radical unification organizations. Maybe they told him to do this. And I find that to be extremely laughable, because I've been to these organizations on both sides, the Taiwan independence side and the unification side, when I was into that sort of thing, like in 04, 05. I was going to a lot of those conferences and stuff and just taking a lot of video. And both sides are they just say opposite things, and neither side is promoting violence of any sort. And these things are they're kind of boring, to be honest. I mean, people just express their passionate opinion, and that's it. People just eat and they listen to talks, and there's a speaker. And I actually went to Chinese for peaceful unification in Berlin game in 2004, right after the presidential election that year, and was there for 2 days. A lot of just old timers up there talking about stuff I didn't understand, and it was all very dull, like it was just, I thought it was boring, but I was there because I wanted to learn about the election. I can attest that I don't know the Las Vegas chapter, but there's really nothing going on with this organization. It's just a bunch of professors and former politicians going up there and talking about what they think about the current situation and cross-strait relations and what they want to see, and there's nothing else to interpret from it. And there's nothing going on the pan-green side, the Taiwan independence organizations either. Just people take their turns talking, and they're very passionate about their views, and that's it. There's nothing that any one individual can do on either side where it should be attributed to a political movement, regardless of what it is. And it's just, I'm not here to speak for Chinese for peaceful unification. I'm not a part of them. I just think that it's kind of ridiculous and unfair to try to, associate what happened at this church with this conference. Like, a person in their lifetime can attend all kinds of different gatherings, right? Like organizations. You could find a picture of a person at all kinds of places, and to try to associate them with that is just kind of like grasping for straws. It's kind of like it's inappropriate reporting. And another thing that's going on is that I feel like the Taiwan government is trying to associate themselves with the hero of this incident, Dr. Cheng. What Taiwan has written right here on Twitter is like, I want to convey my sincere condolences on the death of Dr. Cheng and my hopes for prompt recovery for those injured in the shooting at the Irvine Taiwanese Presbyterian Church in California. Violence is never the answer. Well, election fraud is though, right? So it's kind of like she's not really acknowledging the fact that the shooter is from Taiwan. As the unelected head of state, she should have acknowledged that and owned up to it, you could say, and perhaps offered an apology. So this is like a person from Taiwan committing violence against other people from Taiwan, right? And to only acknowledge the fact that the victims and heroes are from Taiwan and the perpetrator wasn't even mentioned in her tweet is kind of like she's sort of like dodging the issue, you could say. I just feel like the Taiwan media and the government are trying to disassociate themselves from the fact that this guy's from Taiwan and trying to make people believe that he's a mainlander. Recently I've seen on social media that some people are saying, oh no, this guy is not Taiwanese, like he's a mainlander. And I'm like, what do you mean? Like, he's born in Taiwan in 1953. That's pretty much the definition of what it means to be Taiwanese, to be born in Taiwan, right? They're like, well, no, given the system those days, no, he's a mainlander, because back then the system kind of kept people separate and stuff like that. So everyone knew who was a mainlander, everyone knew who was Taiwanese, and even if you were born in Taiwan, you were still kind of considered to be a mainlander. And I get that, but I think that there's kind of a double standard going on, because take Ang Lee, for example. The guy wins Best Director in 2005 for the first time, Ang Lee was born in Pingdong in 1954, and the newspapers, the Taiwan media, Western media are all saying Taiwan-born Ang Lee. It's like kind of like there's this like when someone from Taiwan is doing something honorable, good, is winning an award, all the media wants to like help Taiwan, saying this person Taiwan-born, Taiwan's native son. And then when someone from Taiwan does something terrible like this, then it's like, oh, he's from China. And then when more information comes out, the guy's from Taiwan, here's his picture and all this stuff, then it's like, well, that doesn't really count, because back then, you know, like mainlanders were just mainlanders, and they doesn't matter where they were born. Mainlander's a mainlander. Okay, it's not Taiwanese. So why do you get to utilize director Ang Lee's accomplishments to promote Taiwan, yet you want to just like, you know, act like this had nothing to do with you just because it was a shooting, you know, an act of violence against people, and one person ended up dead and others in critical condition. It's like, objectively speaking, both people are from Taiwan, and it should be written that way. So I just think that I'm not like speaking on behalf of like mainland China or whatever. I'm not concerned about their image or anything. I just think that it's like kind of like this, the way this is being reported has got me thinking that whether or not someone's Taiwanese or whatever is like kind of like very, we just throw this term around like when it's like at our convenience, right? It's like, oh, I want to be associated with this person, like if they're doing something positive, like Jeremy Lin, oh, you know, like he's Taiwanese ABC or something like that, you know. But then like the minute like it goes wrong, then it's like, oh, Chinese mainlander, you know, let's throw them under the bus. It seems kind of jacked up, you know. So